From fuel to food, South Africans are not happy with the state on their plate. They say that food prices are far too high while the quality is far too low. Power outages are also cooking concerns of food quality as well as safety. Audit firms PwC and DataEQ found buyers are deeply dissatisfied with the food that they're purchasing and consuming. Let's chew on this info with DataEQ CEO Nic Ray. Nic, a very good morning to you. Tell us a bit about the survey that you conducted, Nic, and what it is that you hoped to achieve.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. We were interested to find out what consumers, South African consumers, were saying about the big six grocery retailers in the country. But just a correction, it wasn't a survey. So we didn't go out and ask anyone any questions. We mined their unsolicited feedback from social media. So as people went onto Twitter and Facebook and talked about their experiences with the grocery retailers, we gathered all of that data and processed it using some clever AI to work out what their sentiment was towards the retailer and what was driving that sentiment. We picked up over 1.6 million posts from South Africans about the big six grocery retailers, and that's really the data that makes up the study. Products and product feedback made up the largest category of conversation, making up more than 50% of what consumers spoke about when they engaged with the retailer online.
And what were the type of complaints that you got, Nic?
The top 5 categories of conversation relating to products. First was house brands. People spoke a lot about the retailer's house brands, and that obviously connects to good value. And that was, for the industry as a whole, a positive category, with Woolies doing the best there. And then, as you mentioned in your introduction, product quality was the second most spoken about topic when in talking about products, and that was significantly net negative at minus 45%. And in fact, Woolies were the only brand that had a positive net sentiment towards their product quality when looking at all of that conversation. And then interestingly, expired food or food that's past its sell-by date was the 5th most spoken about topic when folks were engaging around products, and that was very negative across all of the retailers.
And I wonder, comparatively speaking, have you done this survey before? Because I'm quite interested to find out what the sentiment was before we started experiencing extreme load shedding, and whether or not that has anything to do with people's complaints about the quality of the food that they are buying.
This is actually the first time we've done this study in retail. We do it in banking and insurance and telcos, but this was the first year, so I can't compare year on year for you. But what we did do was look at the prevalence of load shedding over the year. So the study ranges from the whole of 2022, and obviously load shedding ramped up significantly throughout the year. We tried to see if there was a correlation in conversation between about load shedding and expired or food that was past its sell-by date. And actually, we didn't find a correlation. Whilst there were significant volumes of complaints, it didn't seem to increase as load shedding increased. And in fact, many of the consumers who spoke about load shedding showed empathy for the retailers, the challenges they had keeping the fridges and the lights on. And it was clear that the retailers' investments in alternative power and trying to find ways to keep their products fresh resonated with consumers, and they appreciated the retailers' efforts. So whilst there were very high volumes of complaints about expired food, there wasn't a correlation with load shedding as it increased through the year.
And I just wonder, as I wrap up with you, Nic, how do consumers behave? If you're not happy with a particular product, you're not happy with a particular retailer, are people quick to move on to the next option, or is loyalty a factor?
I do think loyalty is a factor, particularly as there's been significant investments in loyalty programs by the retailers, but also in alternative products and services like financial services. So Checkers' launch of its money market account, I think, makes Checkers customers a lot more sticky to their brand. So I think that has helped increase or improve loyalty across the industry. But We compared to something like banking, we see a lot more movement of customers between the retailers based on pricing, promotions, and their perceptions of the experiences they receive when inside the actual store.